The mining ship New Horizon drifted slowly through the dark space between the asteroids. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the large front window. His brown hair was messy from running his hands through it, and his green eyes showed how tired he was. 6 months in space will do that to a man. Jake was 32 years old and had been flying mining ships for almost 10 years. He was not the tallest man, but he was strong from years of hard work. His crew trusted him because he always kept them safe and always shared the profits fairly. That was important when you were so far from home. The New Horizon was not a big ship, but it was tough. It had 12 crew members and could carry enough supplies to last 8 months in space. The ship's job was to find valuable metals and crystals in the asteroid belt around the Kepler system. Earth needed these materials to build new ships and space stations. Lieutenant Amy Parker walked up to Jake. She was his second in command, a smart woman with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. Amy always worried about safety, which made her perfect for the job. She carried a data pad in her hands. "Captain, we have collected enough materials for this trip," Amy said. "We should head back to the station soon. The crew is getting restless." Jake nodded. The crew had been working hard for months. They deserved to go home and see their families. But something made him want to stay just a little longer. Maybe it was the feeling that they might find something special out here in the empty space. "One more day," Jake said. "Let's check that cluster of asteroids over there. If we don't find anything good, we'll head home." Amy looked worried but nodded. She knew Jake was a good captain, even if he sometimes took small risks. That was how they had found some of their best mineral deposits. The ship's computer suddenly made a beeping sound. Lisa Chun, the communications officer, looked up from her station. Lisa was young, maybe 25, with long black hair and quick fingers that could work any radio or computer system. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal." Lisa said, "It's weak, but it looks like a distress call." Jake walked over to Lisa's station. The signal was strange, unlike anything in their computer files. It was not from a human ship, that was certain. The pattern was too different, too complex. "Where is it coming from?" Jake asked. Lisa pointed to her screen. "About 2 hours away. At normal speed. It's coming from inside that asteroid cluster we were going to check." Amy stepped closer. "Captain, we don't know what's out there. It could be dangerous. Maybe we should call for help from the patrol ships." Jake thought about it. The nearest patrol ship was 3 days away. If someone was in trouble, they might not have 3 days. He had always believed that when someone needed help, you helped them. That was the human way. "Set course for the signal," Jake ordered. "But keep our weapons ready, just in case." The New Horizon moved toward the cluster of rocks floating in space. As they got closer, Jake could see that the asteroids were bigger than he thought. Some were as large as small moons, with deep caves and valleys cut into their surfaces. Pete Sullivan, the ship's engineer, came up from the engine room. Pete was a big man with red hair and strong arms. He could fix anything on the ship and make it work better than when it was new. "Captain, the engines are running a bit hot," Pete said. "We should be careful not to push them too hard." "How much longer can we run at full speed?" Jake asked. Pete scratched his beard. "Maybe 4 hours before we need to slow down and let them cool," Jake nodded. That should be enough time to reach the signal and see what was happening. As they moved between the asteroids, the signal got stronger. Soon they could see where it was coming from. There was a ship stuck between 2 large rocks. But it was not like any ship Jake had ever seen. The alien ship was long and curved like a leaf or a fish. Its surface was smooth and seemed to glow with a soft blue light. Strange patterns covered the outside like writing or pictures that Jake could not understand. "Amazing," whispered Dr. Kevin Walsh, the ship's doctor. Kevin was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He loved to learn about new things. "I've never seen anything like it." But as they got closer, Jake could see that the alien ship was in trouble. 3 smaller ships were flying around it, firing bright energy weapons. The alien ship's glow was getting weaker with each hit. "Those are Krugen ships," Amy said, looking at her scanner. Pirates from the Krugen Empire. They're attacking the alien vessel. Jake knew about the Krugen Empire. They were a group of different alien species who made money by stealing from others. They were cruel and dangerous, and they hated humans. "Captain, we should leave," Amy said. "We're just a mining ship. We can't fight 3 Krugen raiders." Jake watched the attack on the alien ship. The smaller vessel was trying to escape, but it was trapped between the asteroids. Soon the pirates would break through its shields and board it. Whatever was on that ship would be stolen or destroyed. "Open a channel to the Krugen ships," Jake said. Lisa's fingers moved over her controls. "Channel open, Captain." A rough voice filled the bridge. The translation system made it sound human, but Jake could hear the anger and cruelty underneath. "Human ship, this is Commander Victor of the Krugen Raider Bloodfang. You will leave this area immediately or be destroyed." Jake took a deep breath. "This is Captain Morrison of the New Horizon. We received a distress call. We're here to help." Victor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "There is no distress here, human. We are collecting a criminal who stole from the Krugen Empire. Leave now, or join the criminal in death." Jake looked at his crew. Amy was shaking her head, telling him to leave. Pete was checking their weapons, ready to fight if needed. Lisa was recording everything, and Dr. Walsh was preparing the medical bay. "What did they steal?" Jake asked. "That is not your concern, human. Your species is young and weak. Do not test us." The channel closed. Jake watched as the Krugen ships continued their attack. The alien vessel's shields were almost gone. In a few minutes it would be helpless. Jake had to make a choice. He could leave and save his crew, or he could try to help the alien ship. If he helped, his crew might die. If he left, whoever was on that alien ship would certainly die. "Captain," Amy said softly, "we have to think about our crew. We have families waiting for us. Double quotes. Jake knew she was right. But he also knew that if he left now, he would never forgive himself. Sometimes being human meant doing what was right, even when it was dangerous. "Pete, how are our weapons?" Jake asked. Pete smiled. "The mining lasers can be turned into weapons. They won't be as good as real guns, but they'll work. Lisa, send a message to the nearest patrol ship. Tell them what's happening." "Yes, Captain." Jake turned to Amy. "I know this is dangerous, but we can't just leave. If we don't help, no one will." Amy looked at him for a long moment, then she nodded. "What are your orders, Captain?" Jake felt proud of his crew. They were scared, but they would follow him anyway. That was what made humans special. They helped each other, even when it was hard. "We're going to save that alien ship," Jake said. "All hands, prepare for battle." The New Horizon moved toward the fight, ready to face 3 enemy ships to save someone they had never met. Jake did not know it yet, but this decision would change not just his life, but the future of all humanity. The New Horizon moved closer to the alien ship. Jake could see the damage getting worse with each blast from the Krugen weapons. The beautiful blue glow was fading, and pieces of the strange ship were floating away into space. "Pete, how long before our weapons are ready?" Jake asked. Pete's voice came through the ship's speaker system. 2 minutes, Captain. I'm connecting the mining lasers to the main power system now." Jake watched the 3 Krugen ships. They were smaller than the New Horizon, but they were built for fighting. Their dark metal hulls had spikes and sharp edges that made them look like dangerous animals. Red lights flashed along their sides as they fired again and again. "Amy, take us to the far side of that big asteroid," Jake said. "We need to get close without them seeing us." Amy worked the controls, and the ship moved behind a large rock. The New Horizon was hidden from the Krugen ships, but Jake could still see the fight through the ship's cameras. "Lisa, any answer from the patrol ships?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "The nearest ship is still 3 days away. We're on our own, Captain." Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. 12 people trusted him to make the right choice. Their families would never forgive him if he got them killed. But he could not watch someone die when he might be able to help. "Carlos, plot a course that will take us right between the alien ship and the Krugen raiders," Jake said to his navigator. Carlos Rodriguez was a quiet man with steady hands and sharp eyes. He had been flying through asteroid fields for 15 years and knew how to move a ship through the most dangerous places. "Course ready, Captain," Carlos said. "But we'll only have one chance. If we miss, they'll be ready for us." "Understood." "Pete, are the weapons ready?" "Ready, Captain." The mining lasers are now combat lasers. They won't be as strong as real military weapons, but they'll hurt. Jake took a deep breath. "All hands. This is the captain. We're going to help that alien ship. I know this is dangerous, but it's the right thing to do. Everyone to battle stations." The crew moved quickly to their positions. Dr. Walsh went to the medical bay to prepare for wounded crew members. The other workers took cover in the safest parts of the ship and waited. "Take us in, Amy," Jake said. The New Horizon shot out from behind the asteroid like a bullet. The Krugen ships were surprised to see the human mining vessel appear so suddenly. For a moment they stopped firing at the alien ship. "Fire!" Jake ordered. The mining lasers, now turned into weapons, shot bright beams of energy at the closest Krugen ship. The beams hit the pirate vessel's shields and made them spark and flicker. The Krugen ship shook from the impact. Direct hit. Pete shouted, "Their shields are down to 50%. But the other two Krugen ships were already turning toward the New Horizon. Jake knew they had maybe 30 seconds before the pirates would start shooting back. "Carlos, get us closer to the alien ship," Jake said. "Maybe we can get between them and the pirates." The New Horizon moved fast toward the damaged alien vessel. As they got closer, Jake could see that it was even more beautiful than he had thought. The patterns on its surface were like artwork, and even damaged, it looked graceful and peaceful. "Captain, I'm reading life signs on the alien ship," Lisa said. "Only one person, and they're very weak. Can you open a channel to them?" Jake asked Lisa. Worked her controls. "Channel open, but I don't know if they can understand us." Jake spoke slowly and clearly. "This is Captain Morrison of the human ship New Horizon. We're here to help you. Can you hear me?" For a moment there was only silence. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was soft and musical like wind. Chimes in a gentle breeze. The translation system worked to change the alien words into English. "Human ship, this is Zarathul of the Velinary. I'm grateful for your help, but you must leave. The Krugen want something I carry. They will kill you to get it. We're not leaving," Jake said. "Can you move your ship?" "My engines are damaged. I cannot escape." Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready to fight. "Then we'll have to fight them off." "Hold on." The first Krugen ship fired at the New Horizon. The energy blast hit their shields and made the whole ship shake. Lights flickered, and Jake had to hold on to his chair to keep from falling. "Shields down to 70%, Amy reported. "Return fire," Jake ordered. Pete fired the mining lasers. Again, this time, the beams broke through the Krugen ship's shields and hit the hull. The pirate vessel spun away, smoke pouring from a hole in its side. "One down!" Pete shouted, but the other two Krugen ships were coming at them from different directions. Jake realized they were trying to surround the New Horizon. "Carlos, emergency turn. Get us out of the middle." Carlos's hands flew over the controls. The New Horizon turned so fast that everyone was pushed against the walls. The ship's metal frame groaned from the stress, but it held together. The two Krugen ships fired at the same time. One blast missed, but the other hit the New Horizon's engine section. The ship shuddered, and alarms started ringing. "Engine damage." Pete's voice was tight with worry. "We've lost 20% power." Jake knew they were in serious trouble. The New Horizon was just a mining ship. It was not built to fight trained pirates. But giving up was not an option. "Amy, ram that asteroid into the nearest Krugen ship," Jake said. Pointing to a medium-sized rock floating nearby, Amy stared at him. "Captain, that's crazy. We might hit it ourselves." "Do it." Amy fired the ship's tractor beam at the asteroid. The beam grabbed the rock and pulled it toward them. Then she used the ship's engines to push the asteroid like a giant bullet toward the closest Krugen ship. The pirates saw the rock coming, but they were too slow to get out of the way. The asteroid smashed into their ship with tremendous force. The Krugen vessel broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. "Two down," Carlos shouted, but the last Krugen ship was angry now. It came straight at the New Horizon, firing all its weapons. The human ship's shields failed completely, and the next blast tore a hole in the hull. "Hull breach in Section 3. Dr. Walsh's voice came over the speaker. "We're losing air." Jake felt the ship shake as emergency barriers closed to keep the air inside. They were badly hurt, but they were still alive. "Pete, do we have any weapons left?" Jake asked. "One mining laser is still working, but it's damaged. I don't know how many more shots we can fire." The Krugen ship came around for another attack. Jake knew this might be their last chance. If they missed, the pirates would destroy them. "Wait. For my signal," Jake said. "We need to make this shot count." The Krugen ship flew straight toward them, getting bigger and bigger on the screen. Jake could see the pirate weapons charging up for the killing blow. "Now!" Jake shouted. Pete fired the last working laser. The beam shot out and hit the Krugen ship's weapon systems. The pirate vessel exploded in a ball of fire and twisted metal. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Lisa spoke. "All Krugen. Ship's destroyed, Captain. We won." Jake felt relief wash over him, but he knew they were not safe yet. The New Horizon was badly damaged, and they were still far from home. "Status report," Jake said. Amy checked her instruments. "We have hull damage, engine damage, and no shields. But we're alive. Dr. Walsh, any injuries?" The doctor's voice was steady. "A few cuts and bruises, but everyone is okay." "We were lucky." Jake looked at the alien ship on the screen. It was still there, still glowing softly. "Lisa, open a channel to Zarathil. Channel open, Captain." "Zarathil, this is Captain Morrison. The Krugen ships are destroyed. Are you hurt?" The musical voice came back, but now it sounded weak and tired. "I am injured, Captain Morrison. My ship is dying and I cannot repair it alone." Jake did not hesitate. "We're coming to get you. Pete, prepare the docking bay. Carlos, bring us alongside the alien ship." "Captain," Amy said quietly, "we don't know anything about this alien. What if it's dangerous?" Jake looked at his crew. They had fought bravely to save someone they had never met. They had risked their lives because it was the right thing to do. Now they needed to finish what they started. "We saved her life," Jake said. "Now we need to make sure she lives." That's what humans do. The New Horizon moved slowly toward the alien ship. Jake did not know what would happen next, but he knew they had done the right thing. Sometimes that was enough. The New Horizon moved carefully toward the alien ship. Jake could see the damage more clearly now. The beautiful curved hull had several holes in it, and the blue glow was very weak. Parts of the strange writing on the surface had been burned away by the Krugen weapons. "Docking bay ready, Captain," Pete said. "But I'm not sure how to connect to their ship. It's completely different from anything we know." Jake studied the alien vessel on the screen. It did not have the same kind of docking ports that human ships used. But there was a section that looked like it might open. "Try the area near the front," Jake said. "It looks like there might be an entrance there." Carlos moved the New Horizon very slowly. In space, even a small mistake could damage both ships. The mining vessel's docking tube extended toward the alien ship like a metal arm reaching out. "Contact," Carlos said. "The docking seal is holding. Air pressure is stable." Jake stood up from his chair. "Amy, you have the bridge. Dr. Walsh, come with me. We might need medical help." Dr. Walsh picked up his medical bag and followed Jake toward the docking bay. Pete joined them, carrying tools in case they needed to cut through doors or repair anything. The docking bay was a small room where the New Horizon could connect to other ships. Jake could see the alien vessel through a thick glass window. Up close, it looked even more amazing. The metal seemed to move and flow like liquid, and the patterns on the surface changed colors slowly. "I'm reading atmosphere on the other side," Dr. Walsh said, checking his instruments. "The air is safe for humans to breathe." Jake opened the door to the docking tube. The tube was a narrow hallway that connected the two ships. It was only wide enough for one person to walk through at a time. Stay close, Jake said. We don't know what to expect. They walked through the tube toward the alien ship. At the other end was a door that looked like it was made of the same flowing metal as the ship's hull. Jake touched it gently, and it opened like water flowing apart. The inside of the alien ship was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The walls curved smoothly, and everything glowed with soft light. There were no sharp corners or straight lines. It felt like being inside a living thing instead of a machine. "This way," came a weak voice. They followed the sound through corridors that seemed to guide them forward. The floor was soft under their feet, and the walls were warm to the touch. Jake felt like the ship was alive and trying to help them. They found Zarathil in what looked like the ship's control room. She was lying on something that might have been a chair, but it had grown up from the floor to support her body. She was hurt, but she was still the most beautiful being Jake had ever seen. Zarathil was tall and graceful, with skin that was silver blue like moonlight on water. Her hair was long and white, and it seemed to move by itself like it was underwater. Her eyes were large and silver, and when she looked at Jake, he felt like she could see into his soul. "You came," she said, her voice like music. "I did not think you would risk your lives for a stranger." Dr. Walsh knelt beside her and opened his medical bag. "Where are you hurt?" She pointed to her side where Jake could see a dark stain on her. "Clothing. The Krugan weapons cause burns that do not heal easily for my people." Dr. Walsh looked at the wound carefully. "I've never treated an alien before, but a burn is a burn." "This might help." He began to clean the wound with gentle hands. "Thank you," Zarathil said. "But you must leave soon. More Krugan ships will come when these do not return." Jake sat down beside her. "Who are you? Why do the Krugan want you so badly?" Zarathil was quiet for a long moment. She looked at Jake with those silver eyes, and he felt like she was making a very important decision. "My name is Zarathil, and I am a high seeker of the Velinari people," she said finally. "We are one of the oldest races in the galaxy. We have watched the stars for millions of years," Pete whistled softly. "Millions of years? How old are you?" "I am young for my people. Only 3,000 years old." Jake tried to understand what she was saying. 3,000 years was longer than all of human history, and she was young. "The Krugan want something I carry," Zarathil continued. "Information about the location of the Eternal Archive." "What's the Eternal Archive?" Dr. Walsh asked as he worked on her wound. "It is a place where my people have stored all the knowledge we have gathered over the ages. Science, medicine, technology, philosophy. Everything we have learned about the universe." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "And the Krugan want to steal it? They want to use it to make weapons, to conquer other worlds. They do not understand that knowledge should be used to help people, not hurt them." Dr. Walsh finished treating her wound and sat back. "That should help the healing, but you need rest." Zarathil tried to sit up. "There is no time for rest." "I must tell you something important, Captain Morrison." She looked directly at Jake. "My people have been watching humanity for many years. We have seen you grow from a small tribe on one world to a space-traveling species. We have been waiting." "Waiting for what?" Jake asked. "For a sign that you are ready. Ready to join the greater community of intelligent species. Ready to learn from us and teach us in return." Jake was confused. "I don't understand." "We're just a mining crew. We're not important." Zarathil smiled, and her whole face lit up with joy. "You risked your lives to save a stranger. You asked for nothing in return. You fought 3 warships with a mining vessel because it was the right thing to do." "That is exactly what we have been waiting for." Pete scratched his head. "So we passed some kind of test?" "Not a test," Zarathil said. "A choice. My people have been placing themselves in danger across the galaxy, waiting for someone to help without being asked. Most species ignore us or try to use us for their own gain. But you helped simply because I needed help." Dr. Walsh looked amazed. "You've been doing this for years?" "For centuries. We have tested hundreds of species. None have acted as you did today. Your Captain Morrison shed his own blood to protect me. That is the mark of a truly good person." Jake touched the bandage on his chest where he had been burned in the fight. I just did what anyone would do. No, Zarathil said firmly. Most would not. Most would calculate the risk and choose safety. You chose to help even when it meant danger for your crew. That is what makes humanity special. The ship's communication system suddenly made a sound. Amy's voice came through the speakers. Captain, we're picking up new signals. Multiple ships heading this way. They look like Krugen vessels. Jake stood up quickly. How many? At least 10, Captain. Maybe more. They'll be here in 2 hours. Jake looked at Zarathil. Can your ship fly? She shook her head sadly. The engines are too damaged. And your ship is hurt too. We cannot outrun them. Then we'll have to fight, Jake said. Captain, Zarathil said, 10 Krugen warships will destroy you easily. You have already done more than enough. You should leave me and save your crew. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. We don't leave people behind. That's not who we are. Even if it means you all die, even then. Zarathil stared at him for a long moment. Then she made a decision that would change everything. There is another way, she said. But it will change your life forever, Captain Morrison. It will change the lives of all humans. What do you mean? Jake asked. I can call for help from my people. The Velinari have ships that can destroy the entire Krugen fleet in minutes. But if I do this, humanity will become part of something much bigger. You will learn things that will advance your species by thousands of years. But you will also face new dangers and new responsibilities. Jake thought about his crew. They were good people who just wanted to go home to their families. They did not ask for this. Will my crew be safe? He asked. Safer than they have ever been. But they will no longer be simple miners. They will be ambassadors to the galaxy. Pete spoke up. Captain, we knew the risks when we came to help. Whatever you decide, we're with you. Dr. Walsh nodded. Pete's right. We're a team. Jake looked at Zarathil. If we do this, will you share your knowledge with all of humanity? Not just the government or the military, but everyone? That is exactly what we hope for, she said. Knowledge should belong to all people, not just a few. Jake made his choice. Call your people. Zarathil smiled and touched something on her ship's control panel. The patterns on the walls began to glow brighter, and Jake felt a strange vibration in the air. It is done, she said. The Velinari fleet will arrive in 1 hour. Your species' greatest adventure is about to begin, Captain Morrison. Jake felt excitement and fear at the same time. He had come out here to mine asteroids, and now he was about to change the future of humanity. But looking at Zarathil, he knew it was the right choice. Amy, he said into his communicator, prepare the crew for visitors. We're about to meet some very important people. Outside, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the universe itself was celebrating humanity's next step into the great unknown. 1 hour later, Jake stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and watched something impossible happen. The empty space in front of them began to ripple like water. Then, as if someone was opening a door in the universe itself, 3 massive ships appeared from nowhere. The Velinari ships were beautiful beyond words. They looked like they were made of crystal and light, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like music. Each ship was 10 times larger than the New Horizon, but they moved through space as gracefully as dancers. Captain, Lisa said in a whisper, I'm reading power levels that are off our charts. These ships could destroy planets. Jake felt very small suddenly. His mining ship was like a tiny boat next to 3 giant whales. But Zarathil had said these were friends, so he tried not to worry. Incoming message, Lisa said. A new voice came through the speakers. It was calm and deep like an ocean at night. Greetings, Captain Morrison. I am Council Speaker Thanavel of the Velinari. Zarathil has told us of your brave actions. Thank you for coming, Jake said. The Krugen fleet will be here soon. The Krugen ships have been dealt with, Thanavel said simply. They will not trouble you again. Amy checked her sensors and looked surprised. Captain, I'm reading debris. Where the Krugen fleet should be, they're gone. Jake realized that the Velinari had destroyed 10 warships without him even seeing it happen. These people had power beyond his imagination. Captain Morrison, Thanavel continued, Zarathil has recommended you and your crew for something very special. But first, you must be tested. Are you willing? Jake looked at his crew. They all nodded. They had come this far together, and they would finish it together. We're willing, Jake said. Then please come aboard our ship. Bring 3 of your most trusted crew members. Jake chose Amy, Pete, and Dr. Walsh. They were the people he trusted most in the universe. Together, they took a small shuttle to the Velinari ship. The shuttle bay of the alien ship was huge. Jake felt like he was flying into a cathedral made of light. When they landed, a group of Velinari was waiting for them. The Velinari all looked similar to Zarathil, but each was different in small ways. Some had blue skin, others had silver or gold. Their eyes were like stars, and when they moved, it was like watching poetry come to life. Welcome, said Thanavel. He was taller than the others, with golden skin and white hair that seemed to glow. We are honored to meet you. Jake and his crew followed the Velinari through corridors that seemed to be made of living light. Everything around them hummed with quiet power. Finally, they came to a large room with no walls or ceiling that Jake could see. It was like standing in space, but they could breathe and move normally. This is the Chamber of Truth, Thanavel said. Here, we will test not your strength or your intelligence, but your heart. Your choices will show us who you really are. The room around them changed. Suddenly, Jake was standing in a place that looked like Earth. There was green grass under his feet and blue sky above his head. But something was wrong. In the distance, he could see smoke and fire. This is a simulation, Thanavel's voice said from everywhere and nowhere. But your choices are real. You must save as many people as possible from a burning city. But you can only save 100 people. There are 1,000 people in the city. How do you choose who lives and who dies? Jake felt sick to his stomach. How could anyone make such a choice? He looked at his crew. Amy was thinking hard, Pete looked angry, and Dr. Walsh looked sad. There has to be another way, Jake said. There is no other way, Thanavel said. Choose? Jake walked toward the burning city. As he got closer, he could see people running and screaming. Children were crying for their parents. Old people were too slow to escape the flames, but Jake refused to choose. Instead, he started thinking like an engineer. Fire needed fuel and air to burn. What if he could remove one of those things? Pete, Jake called, what would happen if we created a fire break around the whole city? Pete's eyes lit up. If we could clear away all the fuel in a circle around the fire, it would stop spreading. But how? Jake looked at the simulation more carefully. There was a river near the city. What if we redirected the river? Flooded the area around the city? That might work, Dr. Walsh said. But how do we move a river? Jake remembered something from his mining experience. Explosives. We blast a new channel for the river. They worked together in the simulation, using imaginary tools to dig and blast and redirect water. It was hard work, and Jake was not sure it would work. But slowly they managed to flood the area around the city. The fire stopped spreading. Now, we can save everyone, Amy said. We have time to evacuate the whole city. The simulation ended. Jake and his crew were back in the Chamber of Truth. Thanavel was looking at them with what might have been surprise. Interesting, the Velinari said. Most people try to find the fairest way to choose who dies. You found a way for everyone. To live. We don't give up, Jake said. That's what humans do. We find a way. The room changed again. This time, Jake was standing in front of a table covered with amazing devices. They glowed with power and looked like they could do impossible things. This is the test of power, Thanavel said. These devices can reshape matter, create energy from nothing, and heal any injury. You may use them for 1 hour. What will you do? Jake picked up one of the devices. It felt warm in his hands and seemed to pulse with life. He could sense that it could do exactly what Thanavel had said. With this tool, he could make himself rich or powerful or famous. Amy reached for a different device. This one could make our ship the fastest in the galaxy, she said. Pete looked at a device that hummed with energy. And this one could give us weapons that no enemy could defeat. Dr. Walsh found one that glowed with soft light. This could cure every disease known to humanity. Jake thought about all the things he could do with such power. He could go home to Earth as a hero. He could have anything he wanted. But then he thought about what Zarathil had said. Knowledge should help people, not just a few. No, Jake said, putting the device back on the table. This isn't right. His crew looked at him in surprise. Captain, Amy said. Think about it, Jake said. If we take this power for ourselves, what happens to everyone else? What happens to people who don't have these tools? They get left behind, Dr. Walsh said slowly. Exactly, this kind of power should be shared with everyone, or it just makes some people better than others. That's not fair. Pete nodded. The captain's right. These tools are too dangerous for just a few people to have. They left all the devices on the table and stepped back. Jake felt like he was giving up the chance of a lifetime, but he knew it was the right thing to do. The room changed one more time. Now Jake was back on the asteroid where they had first found Zarathil. But this time he knew everything that would happen. He knew about the Velinari and the Eternal Archive. He knew that helping her would change everything for humanity. This is the test of knowledge, Thanavel said. You now know the full consequences of your choice. You can walk away and save your crew from the dangers ahead. You can let humanity continue on its current path, safe but limited. Or you can make the same choice again, knowing what it will cost. Jake looked at the simulation of Zarathil's ship under attack. He looked at his crew, who were watching him carefully. This was the hardest choice of all. If he walked away, his crew would be safe. They could go home and live normal lives. Humanity would never know what they had missed. But if he helped Zarathil again, humanity would face new challenges. They would have to grow up fast in a dangerous galaxy. Some people might die because of his choice. Jake closed his eyes and thought about what it meant to be human. Humans explored. They took risks. They helped people who needed help, even when it was dangerous. I choose to help her, Jake said. But this time, I want to make a deal. Thanavel sounded interested. What kind of deal? If you're going to share your knowledge with humanity, then help us prepare for what's coming. Don't just give us the tools and leave us to figure it out. Teach us, guide us. Be our partners, not our teachers. The simulation ended. Jake was back in the Chamber of Truth with his crew and the Velinari. Thanavel was looking at him with what Jake now recognized as respect. Captain Morrison, Thanavel said. In all our years of testing, no one has ever demanded conditions for our gift. Most species either accept gratefully or try to take by force. You are the first to ask for partnership. We're not looking for a handout, Jake said. We want to earn our place in the galaxy, Thanavel smiled. That, Captain Morrison, is exactly what we have been waiting to hear. The tests were over. Now Jake would learn what his choices had earned for humanity. The Chamber of Truth filled with soft music that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Jake watched as more Velinari entered the room. These were older beings, their skin glowing with silver light and their eyes holding the wisdom of ages. Jake could feel their power and knowledge like a warm presence in the air. Captain Morrison, Thanavel said, you will now meet the High Council of the Velinari. Your actions have impressed them greatly. An ancient Velinari stepped forward. Her skin was pure silver and her hair moved like liquid light. When she spoke, her voice was like the sound of wind through crystal caves. I am Elder Merithel, first speaker of the council. In 10 million years of watching the galaxy, we have never encountered a species like yours. Jake felt very small in front of these ancient beings. We're just ordinary people trying to do the right thing. That is exactly what makes you extraordinary, Elder Merithel said. Most species, when given power, use it to conquer others. When given knowledge, they use it only for themselves. But you have shown something different. Another council member stepped forward. His golden skin seemed to pulse with inner fire. You solve problems instead of accepting that people must die. You refuse power that would make you special but leave others behind. You demanded partnership instead of gifts. These are the actions of a wise species. Jake looked at his crew. Amy was trying not to cry, Pete was staring in wonder, and Dr. Walsh looked like he was seeing a miracle. They all felt the importance of this moment. "We have decided," Elder Mirathel said, "to offer humanity something we have never offered before. Not just knowledge, but true partnership. We want to learn from you as much as we hope to teach you." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. Thanavel smiled. "It means that humans and Velinari will work together as equals. We will share our technology, but slowly so your people can understand it and use it wisely. In return, you will share your creativity and your determination with us." Elder Marathel touched a device on her wrist, and images appeared in the air around them. Jake saw pictures of amazing cities floating in space, ships that could travel between stars in seconds, and machines that could heal any sickness. "This is what we offer," she said. "Medicine that will end disease and let humans live for thousands of years. Energy systems that will never run out and never harm your planet. Weapons that can protect Earth and all human colonies from any threat." Jake's heart raced. This was beyond his wildest dreams. Humanity would become one of the most advanced species in the galaxy overnight. "But there is more," Thanavel said. "Captain Morrison, you will be the first human Velinari ambassador. Your body will be enhanced so you can live long enough to guide both our peoples through this partnership." "What about my crew?" Jake asked. "I won't leave them behind." "They will all be offered the same enhancements," Elder Mirathel said. "They will become the first human diplomats to the galactic community. Their children and their children's children will grow up knowing the stars as their playground." Amy stepped forward. "What about the rest of humanity? What about our families on Earth?" "They will all benefit," Thanavel said. "But the changes will come slowly. We will not overwhelm your people with too much too fast. It will take generations for humanity to fully join the galactic community." Dr. Walsh had been quiet during the whole conversation, but now he spoke up. "Why us? Why a mining crew instead of world leaders or scientists?" Elder Mirathel looked at him with kind eyes. "Because leaders think about politics and power. Scientists think about facts and theories, but you thought about people. When you saw someone in trouble, you helped without thinking about what you might gain. That is the most important quality in the universe." Suddenly, alarms began ringing on the Velinari ship. A younger Velinari rushed into the chamber, her face full of worry. "Elder Mirathel, we have urgent news. The Krugan Empire has declared war on humanity. They are sending their entire fleet toward Earth." Jake felt ice in his stomach. "How long before they reach Earth?" 2 days, the messenger said. 500 warships. It is the largest fleet the Krugan have ever assembled. Jake looked at the council. "You have to help us. Earth has no defenses against that many ships?" "Of course we will help," Thanavel said. "This attack is partly our fault. The Krugan know that humanity has made contact with us, and they want to destroy you before you become too strong." Elder Mirathel touched her device again. "I am sending orders to our defense fleet. 20 Velinari warships will reach Earth before the Krugan arrive." "Is that enough?" Pete asked. "One Velinari ship can destroy 50 Krugan vessels," Thanavel said calmly. 20 ships will be more than enough." Jake felt relief but also worry. "What happens after we win? The Krugan will just attack again." "No," Elder Mirathel said. "After this battle, we will make it clear to the entire galaxy that humanity is under Velinari protection. No one will dare attack you again." The next 2 days passed in a blur. Jake and his crew were taken to Earth on a Velinari ship that traveled faster than anything humans had ever built. They arrived just hours before the Krugan fleet appeared. Jake stood on the observation deck of the Velinari flagship, watching Earth grow larger in the window. It was beautiful, a blue and white jewel against the black of space. Somewhere down there were billions of people who had no idea their world was about to change forever. "Krugan fleet detected," came an announcement. 512 warships approaching. Jake watched as dark shapes appeared at the edge of the solar system. The Krugan fleet was huge, like a swarm of angry insects moving toward Earth. Each ship bristled with weapons designed to destroy planets. Velinari fleet, prepare for battle. Elder Merithal's voice was calm and confident. 20 Velinari ships moved to meet the Krugan fleet. They looked tiny compared to the massive enemy force. But Jake had seen what these ships could do. The battle lasted exactly 7 minutes. The Velinari ships moved like dancers, their weapons firing beams of pure energy that cut through Krugan hulls like paper. The enemy tried to fight back, but their weapons could not even scratch the Velinari shields. When it was over, the Krugan fleet was gone. Not destroyed, but sent running back to their own territory with a message. Earth and all human worlds were now protected by the Velinari. Jake felt amazed and grateful, but also worried. What happens now? How do we tell humanity about all of this? Carefully, Thanavel said. We will start with your world leaders. Then we will slowly introduce our technology and knowledge. It will take time, but eventually humans will take their place among the stars as full partners in the galactic community. 1 month later, Jake stood in the United Nations building on Earth. He was wearing a new uniform that marked him as the first human Velinari ambassador. The genetic enhancements had already begun to work. He felt stronger and healthier than ever before, and he knew he would live long enough to see humanity spread across the galaxy. Behind him stood his crew, now the first human diplomats to alien civilizations. Amy had become an expert on Velinari culture. Pete was learning their technology and teaching them about human engineering. Dr. Walsh was working with Velinari healers to create new medicines. In front of Jake sat the leaders of every nation on Earth. They looked amazed and frightened and hopeful all at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake said, I'm here to tell you about humanity's future among the stars. On screens around the room, images appeared of the partnership agreement between humans and Velinari. There were plans for new cities in space, cures for every disease, and ships that could take humans to any world they wanted to explore. But the most important image was a simple one: humans and Velinari working together, building something neither could create alone. Jake thought back to that day in the asteroid belt when he had decided to help a stranger. He had shed his blood defending an alien woman, and in return, he had received the greatest reward imaginable, a future where humanity could grow and explore and help others throughout the galaxy. The universe is vast and full of wonders, Jake told the world leaders, and now, finally, we get to see it all. Outside the building, the first Velinari embassy was being built. Inside, human and alien engineers worked side by side, creating tomorrow together. Jake Morrison had been a simple mining captain. Now he was the bridge between two civilizations. And this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, other young species were taking their first steps toward the stars. When they needed help, they would find humans and Velinari waiting to lend a hand. Because that was what partners did. They helped each other reach for something greater than themselves. The reward for one man's courage had become a gift for all humanity. And the greatest adventure was just beginning.